Imagine an ancient world lost to the depths of the ocean, a place of godlike technology, wisdom beyond its time, and a catastrophic fall that wiped it from history. For thousands of years, Atlantis has haunted the human imagination. Was it real? A metaphor? Or a warning from a forgotten civilization that once ruled the seas? In this video, we're diving deep into the mystery of Atlantis, not as myth, but as a historical puzzle that refuses to die. We'll explore ancient texts, geological evidence, and shocking modern discoveries that might prove that Atlantis wasn't just a story, but a real civilization that vanished beneath the sea. The story of Atlantis begins not in the depths of the ocean, but in the mind of one of the greatest thinkers the world has ever known, Plato, over 2,000 years ago. In ancient Greece, Plato wrote about a powerful and advanced civilization that existed long before his own time. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, he described an island nation of immense wealth and technological power, a society so mighty and sophisticated that it seemed almost divine. But just as swiftly as it rose, Plato claimed, it was swallowed by the sea and vanished forever in a single fateful night. Imagine the scene: marble temples gleaming under the sun, golden palaces surrounded by circular canals, and a people said to have mastered both science and spirit. They possessed wisdom that allowed them to control nature, build magnificent cities, and command vast fleets that ruled the known world. Atlantis, Plato said, was larger than Libya and Asia combined, a flourishing empire that stood at the very edge of the ancient world. But what makes Plato's account so fascinating is not just its grandeur, it's the precision. He described Atlantis with an almost geographical accuracy, giving measurements, distances, and even political systems. He spoke of kings descended from Poseidon, the god of the sea, and of a utopian society that lived in harmony until greed and arrogance led to its downfall. According to Plato, the story came from Solon, a respected Athenian lawmaker who supposedly heard it from Egyptian priests during his travels. The priests, Plato said, told Solon that Athens itself had once fought a great war against Atlantis 9,000 years earlier, a war that ended when Atlantis sank beneath the waves. For centuries, this story was passed down, and when Plato finally recorded it, he insisted it was not fiction, but history. This tale, he wrote, though strange, is certainly true, so where did this story come from? Could it have been based on real events, or was it a philosophical parable, a way for Plato to teach moral lessons about pride and corruption? Some scholars argue that he used Atlantis as an allegory, a warning that even the most powerful societies can collapse if they lose their virtue. In this interpretation, Atlantis represented the dangers of hubris, the arrogance of human power challenging the gods. But others see something deeper. Plato was known to embed truth within myth. What if, hidden beneath his dialogue, lies a memory? A fragment of history preserved from a forgotten time before the rise of Greece or Egypt. Plato's details are too vivid to dismiss easily. He described concentric rings of land and water, canals, bridges, and walls plated with orichalcum, a mysterious metal said to shine like fire. He mentioned fertile plains, mountains rich with minerals, and elephants roaming freely. Even the city's layout, with its perfect symmetry and advanced infrastructure, suggests knowledge far ahead of its age. Could these be echoes of a civilization that truly existed, perhaps one wiped out by natural disaster and remembered through the ages as legend? Throughout history, countless thinkers have wrestled with this question. In the Renaissance, explorers and scholars searched for the sunken land across maps and manuscripts. In the Age of Discovery, when new continents were found, many believed Atlantis had been uncovered at last. The idea that a whole world, intelligent, powerful, and technologically gifted, could vanish overnight stirred both wonder and fear. It challenged human understanding of time itself. What's most striking is that Plato never finished his story. His dialogue Critias ends abruptly, mid-sentence, as if the legend of Atlantis itself refused to be completed. Was it intentional? A literary device to keep the mystery alive? Or did he know something he dared not reveal? This unfinished ending left a gap that humanity has been trying to fill ever since. Plato's description of Atlantis also mirrors other ancient myths of catastrophic floods, stories found in cultures scattered across the world. The Sumerians spoke of a deluge sent by the gods to cleanse humanity. The Bible tells of Noah's flood. In India, the legend of Manu describes a great inundation that wiped away civilization. Could all these tales stem from one shared memory, a prehistoric disaster that inspired Plato's account? Modern historians often dismiss the idea, but geologists and archaeologists have begun to find evidence that might make us look twice. Around 12,000 years ago, near the end of the last ice age, sea levels rose dramatically. Entire coastlines disappeared beneath the water. Massive floods swept across continents. Could Plato's "one day a night of misfortune" be a poetic description of such an event? Even Plato's timeline minus 9,000 years before Solon's time aligns eerily with that period, suggesting that if Atlantis had existed, it might have been one of the advanced coastal societies lost to the rising seas of prehistory. While his peers might have doubted him, Plato insisted on the story's authenticity. He wasn't known for writing fairy tales. His works were rooted in philosophy, science, and political theory. If he invented Atlantis purely as metaphor, it would stand out from the rest of his writing. The language Plato used when describing Atlantis also hints at something profound. He didn't call it a fantasy. He presented it as an account from Egyptian archives, a civilization already ancient when Greece was young. Egypt, after all, was obsessed with preserving memory through hieroglyphs, monuments, and oral tradition. If anyone could have carried fragments of an earlier world, it would have been them. But what was the moral lesson hidden in his tale? For Plato, Atlantis was not only about geography or lost technology, it was about the soul of humanity. He described how the Atlanteans, once noble and divine, grew greedy and corrupt. Their desire for domination angered the gods, and their punishment was swift. Whether literal or symbolic, it's a story about the cycle of rise and fall, how civilizations can build wonders, master nature, and yet still be undone by their own ambition. From the great halls of Athens to the libraries of Alexandria, the legend of Atlantis spread like wildfire. It ignited curiosity in poets, priests, and explorers. Some saw it as proof that humanity had once achieved greatness and fallen, others as a myth warning us of what happens when power eclipses wisdom. But even in Plato's time, few could have imagined how deeply his story would take root or how centuries later people across the globe would, for centuries, scholars, explorers, and dreamers have argued over one burning question: was Atlantis ever real? Or was it just a story, a moral lesson from the mind of a philosopher? From the very moment Plato's writings surfaced, the world has been divided. Some saw his tale as pure allegory, a crafted warning against human arrogance and greed. Others believed it to be a coded record of an actual civilization lost to time and sea. This debate, still alive today, is one of the greatest mysteries of human history. To understand why this question refuses to die, we must step back into the world of ancient Greece, a world where myth and history were often intertwined. Plato wasn't just a storyteller. He was a philosopher deeply concerned with truth, morality, and the order of the universe. When he spoke, people listened. His dialogues were not meant for entertainment. They were instruments of teaching. So, when he introduced Atlantis, he did so with a tone of authority and conviction, claiming it to be a factual account passed down from Egyptian priests to the Athenian statesman Solon. That alone made people wonder, why would Plato, the master of logic, frame a moral story as historical truth? His followers and critics wrestled with this question even in his own lifetime. Aristotle, Plato's most famous student, is said to have dismissed the story, remarking simply, "He who invented it destroyed it." Yet even Aristotle's words carry uncertainty. Did he mean that Plato killed the story by making it too grand to believe? Or that he erased its truth by mythologizing it? The debate only deepened after Plato's death, as thinkers across the ancient world tried to decode his intentions. Some philosophers believed Atlantis was an allegory for the ideal society, the perfect world gone wrong. Plato's Republic described how societies could fall into corruption, and Atlantis, in many ways, mirrored that decline. It began as a place of justice, balance, and harmony. But when power and pride took root, the Atlanteans turned to conquest and greed. The gods punished them, not out of anger, but to restore cosmic balance. To those who saw the story this way, Atlantis was never meant to be found. It existed as a moral mirror reflecting humanity's weaknesses, but others weren't so sure. The level of detail in Plato's account seemed excessive for mere symbolism. He gave measurements, maps, and lineages. He spoke of laws, trade, and architecture. The idea that all this was invented purely for philosophy seemed unlikely. Why include such depth unless there was a foundation of truth beneath it? To some, Plato wasn't fabricating a myth, he was preserving an ancient memory disguised as a lesson. As the centuries passed, that possibility began to intrigue historians and explorers alike. During the Renaissance, when scholars rediscovered ancient texts, interest in Atlantis was reignited. Men like Francis Bacon and later Ignatius Donnelly treated it not as legend but as forgotten history. Donnelly's famous 1882 book, Atlantis, The Antediluvian World, argued that every great ancient culture, Egyptian, Mayan, Babylonian, even Nordic, descended from the Atlanteans. He claimed that Atlantis was the mother of all civilization, the cradle of human progress wiped away by catastrophe. His theories sparked global fascination and turned a philosophical myth into an archaeological obsession. Scientists and skeptics countered with their own explanations. They argued that Plato borrowed from older flood myths and wove them into a moral parable. The story's timeline, they pointed out, was far too ancient, minus 9,000 years before Solon, long before recorded history as the Greeks understood it. To them, Atlantis was a metaphorical construct, not a geographical one. Yet the debate didn't end there, because the more experts tried to disprove it, the more mysteries seemed to surface. Even in the modern age, with satellites and sonar scanning the ocean floor, the allure of Atlantis persists. The deeper question isn't just whether it existed, but why we can't let it go. Could it be that, on some level, we sense a lost chapter of humanity as past, one erased by disaster but remembered through legend? When Plato spoke of a golden civilization destroyed overnight, perhaps he wasn't inventing fantasy but echoing an ancient truth passed down through fragmented memories. The myth versus history debate also exposes something profound about how humans perceive time. Ancient societies did not separate myth from history the way we do. Myths were truthful stories, not necessarily factual but real in a deeper sense. They preserved memory, encoded knowledge, and carried moral weight. Plato, raised in a culture steeped in mythic thought, may have been describing an event whose meaning transcended literal history. To the ancients, Atlantis could have been both real and symbolic, a real place destroyed by a real cataclysm, and a symbol of human hubris that made that destruction inevitable. Over time, even science began to brush up against the edges of the myth. Discoveries of submerged ruins, ancient coastlines, and flood layers dating to the end of the last ice age began to suggest that humanity had indeed witnessed catastrophic events in deep prehistory. The story of a land swallowed by the sea no longer seemed so impossible. Yet each new clue also complicated the argument. If Atlantis truly existed, where was it? Plato's description placed it beyond the Pillars of Hercules, thought to mean the Strait of Gibraltar. That could mean the Atlantic Ocean, but others interpreted it differently, locating it in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, or even Antarctica. The lack of consensus only fueled the legend further. As the centuries turned, each generation reinterpreted the story through its own lens. For the ancient Greeks, it was a tale of moral decay. For Renaissance thinkers, it was proof of divine order and ancient wisdom. For Enlightenment explorers, it was a challenge, a lost world to be rediscovered through science and exploration. And for modern researchers, it stands at the crossroads of myth, archaeology, and psychology, a symbol of humankind as eternal longing to understand where we came from and what we've lost. Even today, the debate over Atlantis is less about geography and more about belief. On one side are those who see myth as metaphor, a creation of the human mind to explain moral truths. On the other side are those who see myth as memory, distorted echoes of real events. Between these two poles lies the enduring enigma of Atlantis, a legend that refuses to die because it touches something primal in us. The fear that everything we build can vanish in an instant, and the hope that perhaps somewhere traces of that lost world still remain beneath the sea. still be searching the seas for the truth hidden in his words for over 2 millennia, the legend of Atlantis has called out to explorers, scientists and dreamers alike, whispering that somewhere beneath the waves, the remnants of a forgotten world still lie waiting. The sea, vast and unforgiving, hides more secrets than the land ever has. And for those who believe Plato's words were not a myth but a map, the hunt for Atlantis became one of humanity's greatest obsessions. It all began with the question, where? Plato's account tells us that Atlantis lay beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the ancient, name for what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. That detail alone has fueled countless theories. If Atlantis was indeed beyond those pillars, then it could lie somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, a realm so deep and uncharted that even modern technology struggles to uncover all its mysteries. Explorers in the age of discovery believe they might have stumbled upon it when they reached the Americas. The vast new continents, rich in resources and filled with wonders unknown to Europe, seem to fit Plato's description of a grand world beyond the sea. But as maps became clearer, the idea of Atlantis being the Americas began to fade, and new candidates emerged from every corner of the ocean. One of the most compelling locations lies not across the ocean, but much closer to Plato's homeland, in the Aegean Sea near the island of Santorini. Thousands of years ago, Santorini was not a crescent-shaped island, but a massive volcanic landmass known as Thera. Around 1600 BCE, it exploded in one of the most violent eruptions in recorded history, destroying everything in its path. The blast sent shockwaves across the Mediterranean and buried the Minoan civilization on nearby Crete in ash. When archaeologists began excavating Santorini, they discovered the ancient city of Akrotiri, a stunningly advanced settlement with multi-story buildings, intricate plumbing, and vivid wall paintings. To many, this was the smoking gun. The Minoans had seafaring power, wealth, and artistry that could easily match Plato's Atlantis. Their sudden destruction by volcanic fire and sea fit the story's tragic end almost too perfectly. But skeptics argue that while the Minoans were extraordinary, their civilization did not extend beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Others counter that Plato's description might have been distorted over generations, that the story had shifted in geography and time before reaching his pen. Could the Atlantean legend have been a distant echo of the Minoan disaster, passed down as myth until it became something greater than memory? Then there are those who look farther west, to the depths of the Atlantic itself. Off the coast of the Bahamas, divers discovered an underwater rock formation known as the Bimini Road, stretching over half a mile. It appears to be a series of large, flat stones arranged in an almost perfect linear pattern. When the discovery was made in 1968, excitement swept across the world. Could these be the ruins of Atlantis? The stones looked man-made, forming what seemed to be roads, walls, or docks. Photographs of the site circulated in newspapers, igniting new waves of belief. Yet, as geologists examined the stones, they concluded that the Bimini Road was a natural formation, beach rock fractured by natural processes. Still, many refuse to accept that explanation. The symmetry, the alignment, and the sheer coincidence of its discovery near where psychic Edgar Cayce had predicted Atlantis would rise from the sea all kept the legend alive. Other supposed clues emerged around the globe. Off the coast of Cuba, sonar scans revealed geometric shapes, what appeared to be pyramids and roads deep beneath the ocean. In the Caribbean, ruins like those at Yonaguni in Japan and submerged cities off the coast of India added fuel to the theory that multiple civilizations had been lost to rising seas after the last ice age. Each new discovery seemed to whisper the same haunting message: we have not yet uncovered everything buried by time. Scientists who dismiss the literal Atlantis still find these underwater ruins fascinating. The world's coastlines were vastly different 12,000 years ago, when sea levels were more than 400 feet lower. Entire cities and cultures could have existed on lands now submerged. As the glaciers melted and oceans rose, those civilizations would have been erased, leaving behind only legends of floods, gods, and lost worlds. Plato's tale might not point to one city, but to the shared trauma of humanity's first great environmental catastrophe. Still, for many, the dream of Atlantis refuses to die. Explorers continue to search, scanning ocean floors with sonar, mapping anomalies, and diving into ancient wrecks. Some scientists have even proposed that the Azores, a chain of volcanic islands in the mid-Atlantic, might be remnants of a once larger landmass that sank. The islands lie almost exactly where Plato placed Atlantis, and their peaks rise dramatically from the ocean floor, suggesting that they could have once been part of a larger plateau now drowned by time. In recent years, technology has taken the search to new depths. Satellites have begun mapping the ocean floor with precision unimaginable a century ago, revealing mysterious grid-like patterns and shapes that fuel speculation. While most turn out to be natural formations or artifacts of mapping software, every anomaly reignites hope that perhaps, just perhaps, the lost world of Atlantis will finally be found. The mystery grows deeper when one considers how similar stories appear across civilizations that had no contact with one another. The ancient Egyptians spoke of Zep-Tepi, a golden age before the flood. The Sumerians told of Eridu, the first city created by the gods before the waters came. The Maya and Aztecs recorded legends of great floods that destroyed previous ages of the world. Each tale, in its own way, echoes Plato's Atlantis, a great civilization, a fall, and the sea swallowing everything. Could these scattered memories be the remnants of one global story, the testimony of survivors from an age lost beneath the waves? Even modern oceanography hints at how easily such a civilization could disappear. The sea covers more than 70% of Earth's surface, and less than 10% of its floor has been thoroughly explored. Entire mountain ranges, plains, and even ancient river systems remain untouched by human eyes. If Atlantis did exist, whether as an island, a continent, or a vast coastal civilization, its remains could easily be lying deep within those uncharted waters, preserved beneath layers of sediment, waiting for the moment when someone dares to look in the right place. Every clue beneath the waves, every ruin found in the deep, keeps the story alive, not just as myth, but as a challenge to our understanding of the past. The sea may have swallowed its cities, but it has not silenced its memory. For in the depths where sunlight fades and silence reigns, there may still rest the whispers of a world that once was, a civilization that reached for the heavens and vanished beneath the sea. If Atlantis truly existed, then how could a civilization so vast and powerful have disappeared in a single day and night? That haunting question lies at the heart of the legend. Plato's account describes a catastrophe so sudden, so devastating, that an entire continent was swallowed by the sea. For centuries, this seemed like pure fantasy, a poetic exaggeration. But modern science tells us that our planet has, in fact, witnessed such destruction before. What if the story of Atlantis is not myth, but memory and echo of a real cataclysm that wiped out an ancient world? To understand this possibility, we need to look at the Earth not as a static world, but as a restless giant in constant motion. Beneath our feet, tectonic plates shift, grind, and collide. Mountains rise, volcanoes erupt, and oceans swallow land. Every continent has its scars, evidence of the planet's violent transformations. The theory that Atlantis was destroyed by natural disaster becomes far more plausible when viewed through this lens. The ancient Greeks had no knowledge of plate tectonics or volcanic cycles, but they observed earthquakes, floods, and the fury of nature firsthand. To them, the gods were responsible. To us, the explanation lies in the science of the Earth itself. One of the most powerful natural forces on Earth is the volcano. It can erase entire cities in hours, as it did in Pompeii and Herculaneum when Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 CE. If a volcanic explosion of that magnitude struck an island civilization, the devastation would be unimaginable. The eruption of Thera, now known as Santorini, around 1600 BCE, remains one of history's most violent geological events. The explosion was so massive that it likely caused massive tsunamis across the Aegean Sea, ash clouds that darkened skies, and climate changes that lasted for years. Archaeologists believe it may have been responsible for the sudden collapse of the Minoan civilization. Could this be the same event that gave birth to the legend of Atlantis, retold and exaggerated over generations until Plato preserved it as history? But there are even larger forces at work. Earthquakes, often accompanied by tsunamis, have the power to permanently reshape coastlines. The ancient world was no stranger to such devastation. In 373 BCE, the Greek city of Hellike vanished overnight after a massive earthquake and tsunami. Eyewitnesses described how the sea rose up, engulfed the land, and buried the city beneath the waves. When divers discovered its ruins centuries later, they found streets, temples, and coins preserved under layers of silt, a real city swallowed by the sea just as Plato described Atlantis. The story of Hellike proved that Plato's tale was not entirely beyond possibility. If one Greek city could vanish overnight, why not an island civilization far greater? Then there's the question of rising seas. At the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago, the same time frame, Plato gave for the fall of Atlantis, the Earth underwent a period of rapid warming. Massive glaciers melted, pouring trillions of tons of water into the oceans. Sea levels rose more than 400 feet, drowning vast areas of land that were once home to coastal settlements. Entire regions that had been habitable for thousands of years vanished beneath the waves. Scientists now know that this global flooding was not gradual everywhere. In some regions, it happened in catastrophic surges known as meltwater pulses. Imagine the horror of ancient people watching the ocean devour their homes and farmlands in days. For them, it would have felt like the wrath of the gods. For us, it could be the very event that inspired the story of Atlantis. The Earth's crust also hides another secret. Entire landmasses have disappeared before. Geologists have discovered remnants of lost continents, submerged fragments of ancient land beneath the Indian and Atlantic Oceans. One such fragment, known as Zealandia, lies beneath New Zealand. Another, called Mauritia, rests beneath the Indian Ocean, the remains of a microcontinent buried under volcanic rock. These discoveries prove that the Earth is capable of erasing entire regions from sight. So when Plato spoke of an island larger than Libya in Asia that sank beneath the sea, it might not have been as impossible as it once sounded. Some scientists have even suggested that Atlantis could have been located on a tectonic boundary, a region prone to earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The Atlantic Ridge, stretching across the ocean floor, is one such area. It's a scar of constant geological upheaval, where the Earth's plates pull apart, creating new crust and volcanic activity. If a large island once existed along this ridge, it could have been destroyed by a single massive eruption or collapse, leaving behind only scattered fragments. The Azores Islands, which rise from this very ridge, fit Plato's description of a place beyond the Pillars of Hercules, an intriguing coincidence that continues to draw scientific curiosity. And yet, the destruction of Atlantis may not have been a single event. Some geologists believe the legend could represent a chain of disasters, a pattern of rising seas, quakes, and eruptions that unfolded over centuries, remembered later as one great catastrophe. Human memory compresses time, turning generations of turmoil into one apocalyptic night. In that sense, Plato's day and night of misfortune could symbolize the climax of a long, slow collapse that erased an entire chapter of human civilization. The evidence of ancient cataclysm is everywhere. Beneath the Black Sea, scientists have discovered shorelines that were once dry land. In the North Sea, between Britain and Scandinavia, lies Doggerland, a vast plain that was home to prehistoric people before it sank under rising waters. Off the coast of India, the ruins of ancient cities like Dwarka now rest underwater, their stones encrusted with coral. Each discovery adds weight to the possibility that Atlantis, or something like it, could have existed, a victim of the same natural forces that reshaped our planet's surface time and time again. The beauty of the Atlantis story lies in its dual nature. It is both a myth about human arrogance and a record of Earth's unpredictability. Even today, we see glimpses of how fragile our world can be. Entire islands in the Pacific are disappearing as sea levels rise. Earthquakes still tear cities apart. Volcanoes still remind us of their power. In that sense, the legend of Atlantis isn't just about the past. It's a mirror of the present, a warning that the same forces that may have swallowed that lost civilization are still alive beneath our feet, waiting, shifting, and reminding us that nothing built by human hands can ever truly defy the will of the earth. Long after Plato's words were written, the legend of Atlantis began to echo through time. not just as a lost island, but as a symbol of something greater. Across continents and cultures, whispers of forgotten worlds and golden ages appear again and again. It's as if humanity, no matter how far apart, remembers a past that history refuses to acknowledge. Could it be that Atlantis wasn't an isolated myth, but the memory of an ancient global civilization that vanished, leaving behind fragments of its wisdom in the ruins of the world? From the temples of Egypt to the pyramids of Mesoamerica, from the monoliths of the Andes to the megalithic stones of the Mediterranean, humanity's oldest monuments share something uncanny: precision, complexity, and purpose far beyond what we expect from their supposed age. Ancient builders aligned their cities with the stars, carved stones that modern machines would struggle to move, and encoded advanced mathematical knowledge in their architecture. The question that haunts archaeologists and dreamers alike is simple: where did this knowledge come from? In Egypt, the priests told Solon that their civilization was not the first. They spoke of a time before the Nile flowed, when gods and demigods ruled and a mighty people were destroyed by flood. These were the same priests, according to Plato, who told the story of Atlantis. Could they have been speaking of the same catastrophe? The Egyptians claimed their wisdom came from an earlier age, from beings who had survived a great destruction, and brought knowledge of the stars, writing, and architecture to a reborn humanity. If true, then the Atlanteans, or those like them, might have been the teachers of civilization itself. Similar tales appear in Sumerian records, some of the oldest written texts known to man. The Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, beings from the heavens who brought law, kingship, and agriculture to humanity after a great flood destroyed the previous world. The parallels with Atlantis are striking: an advanced race, a flood, and the rebirth of civilization under divine guidance. In the Americas, the Maya and Aztec legends tell of gods like Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent who arrived after a great cataclysm to teach humankind science, astronomy, and peace. In Peru, Viracocha is said to have emerged from the sea after the flood, bringing order and light to the world. Everywhere we look, we find the same pattern: destruction followed by divine instruction, chaos giving birth to knowledge. Perhaps these weren't gods in the mythic sense, but survivors, remnants of a lost civilization that had once spanned the globe. After the cataclysm that ended their world, they might have scattered to distant lands, sharing what they remembered with the primitive societies they encountered. Over time, they became immortalized as deities, their technologies misunderstood as magic, and their history reshaped into myth. This idea, often dismissed as romantic speculation, continues to fascinate researchers who see connections that cannot easily be explained away. Even modern science supports the possibility that humans have been civilized for much longer than we think. Sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to around 10,000 BCE, have rewritten what we thought we knew about the dawn of civilization. Massive stone pillars carved with animal symbols and aligned to celestial movements stand as silent witnesses to an age of sophistication thousands of years before the rise of Egypt or Mesopotamia. Göbekli Tepe appears suddenly in the archaeological record, as if its builders inherited their knowledge from an earlier culture. Could they have been descendants of a forgotten people, those who survived the fall of a place we now call Atlantis? Ancient maps offer further intrigue. The Piri race map, created in 1513, shows the coastlines of South America and even what appears to be Antarctica, drawn long before either region was officially discovered. The accuracy of these coastlines, especially beneath the Antarctic ice, suggests the use of knowledge far older than the map itself. Some historians believe that the map was copied from far older sources, charts preserved from an age when humans sailed the seas long before our known history began. If such maps existed, who made them? And why does that knowledge seem to vanish right after appearing, as though the world had to start over again? Myths of global floods found in nearly every ancient culture reinforce the same haunting possibility. In India, the legend of Manu tells of a man warned by a divine being of an impending deluge. In Greece, Deucalion builds an ark to survive the wrath of Zeus. In the Americas, native tribes from the Pacific Northwest to the Andes tell stories of a great wave that wiped the earth clean. These tales may not be mere coincidence, They could be fragments of a shared ancestral memory, the echo of a real disaster that nearly erased humanity and everything it had built. If Atlantis was real, then its greatest legacy might not be its cities or palaces, but its ideas. The knowledge of geometry, astronomy, and engineering that seems to appear suddenly in early civilizations may have originated there. The concept of sacred geometry, the belief that the universe is built on mathematical harmony, runs through every ancient culture. The pyramids of Egypt, the temples of Angkor, and the stone circles of Britain all reflect the same understanding of cosmic order. These connections are not proof, but they are patterns, and patterns are rarely accidents. Even more intriguing is the idea that these civilizations shared not just knowledge, but a warning. The myths of Atlantis, like so many flood legends, end the same way, with the gods punishing humanity for its arrogance. The Atlanteans, according to Plato, grew greedy, corrupt, and hungry for domination. Their fall was the consequence of moral decay as much as natural disaster. The Egyptians spoke of a similar cycle, an age of light followed by darkness, renewal, and destruction. The Maya divided time into great ages, each one ending with catastrophe before the next begins. It's as if humanity carries within its oldest stories a reminder that progress without humility leads to ruin. Across time, these echoes continue to surface in forgotten texts, submerged ruins, and the collective myths of every culture that ever looked up at the stars and wondered where they came from. Whether Atlantis was real or symbolic, its influence is undeniable. It exists in the pyramids, in the temples aligned to solstices, in the legends of gods who came from the sea. Perhaps Atlantis never truly vanished. Perhaps it simply transformed, its legacy scattered among the civilizations that rose after it. Each culture in its own way preserves a piece of that ancient memory, a fragment of a story older than history itself, a story that still hums beneath the surface of human consciousness like a song waiting to be. For centuries, the legend of Atlantis has captivated the human imagination, driving explorers, scholars, and dreamers to search the depths of the ocean and the corners of ancient maps for a trace of the lost world. But as we move deeper into the modern age of discovery, new tools and scientific breakthroughs have reignited the quest with unprecedented precision. Today, sonar imaging, satellite mapping, underwater archaeology, and even DNA studies are being used to uncover what might be the most enduring mystery in human history. Where was Atlantis? And could it still be out there waiting beneath the sea? In the early 20th century, the search for Atlantis began to take on a new life, blending scientific curiosity with mythic allure. The famous psychic, Edgar Cayce, claimed that Atlantis had been a technologically advanced civilization located near the Bahamas, specifically around the Bimini Islands. He predicted that evidence of the lost city would rise from the sea in the 1960s. Astonishingly, in 1968, divers off the coast of Bimini discovered what appeared to be a series of giant stone blocks arranged in a line under the water, now known as the Bimini Road. For some, it was the confirmation of Cayce's prophecy. For others, a natural geological formation. Yet the discovery reignited global fascination. Could this be the first physical trace of the lost world Plato described? Scientists soon turned their attention to other possible sites. One of the most popular theories places Atlantis in the Mediterranean, near the Greek island of Santorini, ancient Thera, around 1600 BCE. A massive volcanic eruption destroyed much of the island, sending tsunamis across the Aegean and collapsing the thriving Minoan civilization. The Minoans were known for their art, advanced architecture, and sea-based economy. They worshipped bull symbols, built labyrinthine palaces, and mysteriously vanished after the eruption, details that mirror elements of Plato's tale. To many researchers, this seemed more than coincidence. Could the destruction of Thera have been the real event that inspired Plato's story of a great island swallowed by the sea? Yet others argue that Atlantis was not a Mediterranean kingdom at all, but something far older, a civilization that existed long before the Minoans or Egyptians. Theorists like Graham Hancock have suggested that Atlantis may have been a global maritime culture that thrived before the end of the last ice age around 12,000 years ago. According to this theory, as ice sheets melted and sea levels rose dramatically, Entire coastal cities were submerged, erasing the evidence of their existence. This timeline matches Plato's claim that Atlantis fell 9,000 years before Solon, which would place its destruction near the end of the Ice Age. Modern underwater mapping has revealed hundreds of submerged sites across the world: sunken temples off the coast of India stone, structures near Japan's Yonaguni Island, and ruins buried beneath the waves in the Caribbean, all pointing toward the possibility that advanced societies once thrived in regions now lost to the ocean. The Yonaguni Monument in particular has sparked intense debate. Found off the coast of Okinawa, Japan, it consists of massive stone terraces, platforms, and steps that appear to have been carved with purpose. Some geologists insist it's a natural formation sculpted by underwater erosion, while others argue its symmetry, sharp edges, and precise angles prove it was man-made. If the latter is true, the site could date back at least 10,000 years, long before any known civilization existed. Such discoveries continue to blur the line between myth and history, making it harder to dismiss Plato's story as mere fiction. Meanwhile, scientists studying climate patterns have discovered that the period around 10,000 BCE was marked by catastrophic global changes. The end of the Ice Age brought massive floods, rapid sea level rise, and sudden shifts in temperature, all conditions that could have easily destroyed coastal civilizations. Geological records show that the Black Sea, for example, was once a freshwater lake until the Mediterranean Sea broke through around 7,600 BCE, flooding vast areas of land. Archaeologists now believe this event inspired many of the world's flood myths, including the story of Noah. If so, then Plato's description of a single day and night of misfortune that submerged Atlantis might have been a poetic account of a very real, planet-wide disaster. But Atlantis may not have been a single place at all. Some researchers propose that Atlantis was a symbolic name for a network of interconnected cultures that shared knowledge, trade, and beliefs. The ancient world was far more connected than we often assume. Evidence of similar architectural designs, astronomical alignments, and mythic symbols appears across continents separated by oceans. Pyramids, for instance, are found in Egypt, Mesoamerica, and Southeast Asia, all built around similar geometric principles. How could cultures so distant from one another have arrived at such parallel ideas? Some suggest this reflects a shared origin, fragments of a lost civilization's influence spreading after its fall. Genetic studies have even begun to hint at deeper connections. Modern analyses of ancient DNA show unexpected links between populations that, according to mainstream history, should have been isolated. Mysterious migrations during the Ice Age and after suggest that human movement and cultural exchange were far more extensive than previously believed. Could survivors of Atlantis have been among these early travelers, carrying fragments of their language, art, and science into the dawn of new civilizations? Even with all these findings, skeptics argue that Atlantis remains a metaphor, a philosophical warning from Plato about the dangers of hubris and moral decay. Yet, even if Atlantis was only an allegory, its endurance raises another question: why does this story refuse to die? Why, across centuries of exploration and discovery, do we continue to feel that something lies beneath the waves, a truth just out of reach? The search for Atlantis has become more than a hunt for a lost city. It's a reflection of humanity's deeper yearning to understand its origins, to reconnect with a forgotten past that might hold the key to our future. And so modern explorers press on. Sonar scans of the Atlantic seafloor reveal vast formations that could be natural ridges or the buried remains of something else. Satellite images uncover geometric shapes beneath the sands of the Sahara, suggesting ancient lakes and settlements where once there was water, perhaps remnants of a civilization lost when the world's climate shifted. Every discovery, no matter how small, reignites hope. Maybe Plato was right in spirit, if not in geography. Maybe Atlantis wasn't just an island that sank, but a symbol of how fragile greatness can be, and how quickly the sea of time can erase even the mightiest of achievements. With each expedition, each new theory, the mystery deepens. Was Atlantis real, or was it humanity's collective memory of a time before the flood, a time when we walked with knowledge we no longer possess? The evidence lies scattered, hidden beneath oceans, deserts, and myths, waiting for the right eyes to recognize it. The search for Atlantis is not over. In fact, it may have only just begun. For thousands of years, the legend of Atlantis has refused to fade, a story whispered by philosophers, preserved by mystics, and hunted by explorers. From Plato's first mention to today's deep-sea expeditions, the lost civilization has become more than just a myth. It is a mirror reflecting both the brilliance and the fragility of human ambition. Atlantis reminds us that even the greatest societies can fall, not always from war or disaster, but from their own pride and disconnection from nature's balance. Across every culture, every continent, we find echoes of its memory, tales of floods, of knowledge lost, of gods and teachers who came from the sea. Maybe Atlantis was real. Maybe it wasn't. But what if the real truth lies somewhere in between, in our shared memory of a golden age now buried beneath time and water? Science continues to push deeper, scanning the ocean floors, decoding ancient DNA, and unearthing ruins that rewrite our understanding of history. And with every new discovery, we come a little closer to the possibility that Atlantis, or what it represented, truly existed. Perhaps it was not just a place, but a moment in humanity's evolution, a symbol of our eternal rise, fall, and rebirth. Whether Atlantis lies beneath the waves or only within our imagination, its lesson endures. It challenges us to remember who we are, to question how much we've forgotten, and to consider what might happen if history were to repeat itself. Because in the end, the legend of Atlantis is not just about a lost world, it's about us. Our endless curiosity, our hunger for truth, and our timeless dream that somewhere beneath the deep blue sea, the past still calls to us, waiting to be rediscovered.